This army is for the Republic.
For the Republic!
What's going on, guys? Clone Force 23 here. Got your boy Alec bringing you round 3 of our locals at Dreamers Vault Games in Roseville, Minnesota. I am 1-1 at the moment, and so is my opponent. We are going up against Luke Skywalker set 4 with green 30 base, which is really cool. I'm playing Sabine ECL as per usual. So kind of an aggro matchup. I was thinking about, I'm just going to treat this as a normal aggro matchup, even though he's got the 30 base, which is actually kind of scary because this Luke deck can kind of pick up some gas here. But we're going to go into game 1. Automatically I'm thinking if I open ship plus masterpiece, I should be good. So he's gonna pay 2 for an A-wing, and I've got an A-wing in my hand. So I am essentially forced to ECL my A-wing into this A-wing, or else it's going to get pieced out and he'll take 1 back. Now I did have a Marine, but I kind of wanted to lock down the space arena, so I throw my A-wing into that A-wing. Gets us pretty far, he claims, and then we're going to draw here, and we're going to hit 1 down. Now, I was very afraid of Blue Leader here. Blue Leader throws this game completely back into his favor, but he's going to bring out a red 5. A little bit of a misplay on my side here, thinking back on it. So I fleet this A-wing into the base for 5. I really should have taken out this red 5 and just taken the trade, because now he's got a free 3 to base and he can take out my A-wing with the on attack ability. So we'll see if that extra damage was of benefit to me, but looking back on it, I think that trade was a little bit better if I do that. My opponent actually threw down 2 cards on accident here when he was resourcing, so that's why he picked them back up to look at. We should be on 4 for sure. So he is going to start the turn, hit me for 3 with this red 5, and then he is going to ping the A-wing for 2 to take it out. On top of that, it actually just helps his Luke ability out even more, keeping this red 5 around, so I absolutely should have taken it out. But we're going to go 3 to base with fleet. We're going to do the typical ping here to see what he's going to play. I'm not super really afraid of much that green-red hero could play to threaten Sabine, but I was just interested to see. So he's going to throw out a Resistance X-Wing. I'm going to flip Sabine here, and then he's going to play a Luke pilot for 2. I'm going to hit the base for 3, and then I am going to throw out, I believe, just double Marine is what I ended up having, which is great. And then we're going to pass it up here. So I'm sitting at 5 on base. Apologies. I can't tell much from what my opponent's counter is. I know he had 5 from the A-wing, 3 from the fleet, which is 8, 3 from Sabine, which is 11. And then I believe I pinged 1, which would put him to 12 on base. But this red 5 is going to get him a long way, but he's actually just going to blue leader me for 5 on 5, which, like I said, I was afraid of on 3, but even more so on 5. So he's going to blue leader here, get rid of Sabine, which makes sense. Again, looking back on it, I maybe throw this fleet lieutenant into the blue leader because it's a free kill with this red 5. Man, I should have just going back on it. This red 5's taken out like 3 units. I should have got rid of it. But he's going to throw Luke into one of my Marines. I'm going to send the Marine into his base for another 3. So I believe that's 6 from the fleet on total with the Marine. And I know my hand was pretty kind of stuck here. I didn't have anything super great. I was checking to see if I had a Cass. And I had like no Poe. I think I end up like 4 causing playing another 2-drop here. I think my hand is Phoenix A-Wing, Luke pilot, 4 cause. And he should be at 17, which is 13 is pretty far away, especially without a Poe or anything. I do have a Cass here, so I'm going to smuggle at the Cass, try and get closer, and then he gets to throw an R2 on that resistant X swing, which makes it a 4-4. So I'm going to go to base for 3, put him to 20, and then he's going to hit me for 4, bringing me to 9 here. I believe I claim it up, and then he's going to get the Luke ping the Marine, which again ends up going to get him a free trade with this Red 5 who's taking out 3 units for free. Reminder for this matchup for people, we want to get rid of Red 5 against Luke 4. So we're going to swing between the 2 units. It didn't really matter much because he can just go blue leader into Cass if I swing with the Marine. So I'm just going to swing with Cass. 3 to base here, so that's going to put him to 23, but then he decides that he gets to be the aggro player. He's going to open with a Rebel Salt, which is gross. So he is going to swing for 6 with the blue leader, and then 4 with the red 5, which puts me at 10 damage on base total, which brings me to 19 damage after that swing. And I'm sitting with no ECL, with 6 resources, this Resistance X-Wing plus Luke, even on the ground, is pretty much game. And yeah, I've got a hurdle to go through here. I know my hand again wasn't great. I believe I rip a 4 cause, I believe, in here, and hit for 2, which is so awful. That pretty much seals my fate for this game 1. So we're gonna rip the 4 cause here. We're gonna real Gen Blade, Poe, Wing Leader, and Timely Interventions. We're gonna hit for 2, put them to 25. If I had a follow-up for a cause and that would have hit for 4, I think we have the game there, but he actually just has another 4 cause. So he's gonna, I believe his hits for 4, yeah, of course. And that is gonna put me to 21, which is lethal. Actually, it puts me to 23, doing math wrong here, but yeah, super lethal. He had anyway. So the Luke is gonna take game 1. Again, I think I allowed that red 5 to exist much longer than I should have. Even though having a pretty significant early lead. So big mistake game 1 there, but we board super heavy for what is essentially the aggro matchup. So I'm going to bring in the Confiscates, I'm going to bring in the Power Failures, and I'm going to bring in the Sundari Peacekeepers. Now, one thing that I did not know about Luke Pilot specifically, the leader, is that he has a card text when he's a pilot, and that says he cannot be defeated by card abilities, and I did not know that. All the other pilot leaders you can defeat with Confiscate, but I did not know that Luke could be. We did not learn this until after the match. I think I boarded out all the anti-pilot stuff, so I boarded out the Wreckers, the Fighters for Freedom, and then I think I left in 1 for a cause just because I had the room to, but that'll get us the sideboard. But yeah, Luke Pilot cannot be defeated by abilities. Now, I think the Confiscate still makes sense. If I have to go ground and he still opens a ship and then throws a Luke Pilot on there or something, or, if he has Chewies or something even more scary, then I do need to have an out for that. I am thinking green unit plus Masterpiece could probably get me pretty far into this matchup. I'm assuming most of his units are space units for turn 1s, given that it is in pilot deck. That's pretty common. He may have Battlefield Marines in there. I mean, we know he has Luke pilots, but that's probably the least likely turn 1 play that you'd see out of the deck unless he's forced into it. So thinking if I can get a Masterpiece here with a green or even red unit on board can probably get me a pretty far way. A local guy, I believe his name, didn't have a sideboard here, So he's just running it back, but it was enough for game 1. So hey, who knows? Don't change something if it ain't broke. So we're going to shuffle up here and see what we get. But if you guys are enjoying the first set of live commentary gameplay videos, please leave a like. Let us know any suggestions that you have. Subscribe to the channel. Any feedback is appreciated. So I'm going to claim since he got game 1 here. And I believe the first card that I drew was Masterpiece. So I was feeling pretty good about this. I have, I believe, Luke Pilot plus Masterpiece in hand, which seems pretty good. So we're going to get rid of 2 here. We're going to open with Luke on the ground, which again is probably my least likely turn 1 play, but it's a green unit, which is great. So I'm going to claim, and then he actually hooks an R2 up to that bomber. Any other ship, this probably would have been a problem, especially if it was a Phoenix A-Wing, but thankfully that bomber just has 1 power total. So we still can get the kill here with the Masterpiece. I was thinking about doing it. I'm like, no, this is too good. I have to do it. He's down 2 cards in hand, so we're going to ECL Masterpiece on attack. Since I have a great unit, we're going to give an XP to the Masterpiece, and we're going to swing into this for 4 and take it out. And then we are going to take 2 back from that. Unfortunately, he did not end up having a play after this, so he had to claim. So I'm going to go 3 to base with my Luke, and then I'm going to pass it up. I could have probably gotten away with a Sabine ping at that time, but I was just a little afraid after last game where he kind of turned the burners on late game. So he's going to open up the 4 resource turn with a Poe Dameron and Pilot, and he's going to throw him onto the X-Wing. At this point, I've got to open Sabine flip turn, so I'm like, all right, this is free destruction, super damage turn. I have a Darksaber in my hand, so we're going to flip Sabine so I can get the red ping. We are going to put a experience on the Masterpiece, bringing it to 5, and then the red will take it to 6. And then he claims. I'm going to hit the base for 3 after that, and then I'm going to throw a Darksaber on Sabine and hit him for 7. Kind of the dream scenario here on the Sabine flip turn. So what that would have been 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 17, or plus 7 is 16 plus 3. So I believe he's at 19 damage on base. And I have 1 card that just completely ends the game for this one, which is the best, might be the best card in the Sabine deck when you have the stars align. So he's got initiative with this Poe unit. He can go into Masterpiece and take him out, but he does lose the Poe ship. And so he just decides to throw 5 to base, see where he can get here. I am going to swing in here and trying to figure out where to put the experience, but we're going to hit the base for 5 and then hit him for 1. Puts him to a lot. I actually think I had lethal just swinging with Sabine, but I ended up swinging with Luke. He was talking about how scary the board was. I was just kind of telling him, yeah, Darksaber's brutal. So got the game 2. Masterpiece is a blow in space. Shocker to no one. Card is crazy. So game 3, we just want the same game plan, and it should kind of take us a long way. We want to open green unit plus Masterpiece or red unit plus Masterpiece, and we should have a good time. Again, I believe the only ground units we've seen is the Luke Pilot and technically the R2 Pilot, but again, I think if he's throwing those out there on turn 1, he is probably having not a great time with that hand. So he is, of course, going to claim for this game 3, and we will see what we end up trying here. But yeah, no, this Luke deck kind of surprised me. Again, I think I kind of ignored the threat level and how fast he can turn around, especially with 30 base. Normally the Luke's pilot leaders are still running ECL just because you still get the ECL Wrecker and Poe. I mean, one of the best combos in the game, but the 30 base, that 5 health gets a long way, especially in the aggro mirror when we're just ignoring each other and turning our cards sideways. So yeah, it a little bit of a hill to climb, but obviously Sabine can just have some crazy burst turns. So we are going to start this out. Now, I know for this one, I did not see a masterpiece in my opening hand, but I felt like it was good enough to keep. I know I have a green unit plus wing leader if I need to go there. I believe it was Luke, wing leader, K2 Poe, which seemed like if I can just slam Poe. So he's going to open up with this bomber again, and I'm going to open up with Luke, and then he actually has the R2 again. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be tough if I don't have Masterpiece. And then I top deck the Masterpiece. I top deck Masterpiece Rebel Assault, which is just disgusting. So I think I throw down the K2 here at this point. And I'm like, he's like, if you have it, you have it. I'm sorry, I drew it off the top. In fact, it's the same Masterpiece because I only have one non-prestige foil. So we're going to Masterpiece in, and then his only play is a 4 cause I believe in, which is, again, unfortunate for 3. He just threw the cards back on top. I was like, oh, you can rearrange them, and you don't have to keep those. He's going to end up ditching his Rebel Assault, which makes sense. He doesn't, have that board presence, but we're going to send Luke into base for 3 here, and then I am going to claim it. He claims it up, and then I am going to pass. So he actually has initiative. We didn't end up moving the token here, but he does have it. So he's going to start with 2 for a Luke unit on the ground, and I'm like, I need to get the damage again. I don't know what I'm so afraid of just being a Sabine player, but I'm just always afraid of something happening to Sabine. So I'm just going to start with Luke to base. Then he's got that resistance X-Wing. I'm going to end up with a ping here because I feel like I'm pretty far ahead on damage. So he should be at 7 on base. And then I am going to go 3 for a wing leader onto Sabine. And then we are about to do 1 billion damage with Rebel Assault. I was contemplating this going on the Masterpiece, but I think it just needed to go. So we pay 1 for 1 million damage to base. Again, he's at 7 currently. So we go Masterpiece in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 with the Rebel Assault buff and their 1 red. And then we are going to give the experience to Sabine, and she is 6 and then 7. So that is a total of 13, which brings him to 20 damage on the 4 resource turn. And I believe I drew into my second Rebel Assault, which was just... This was the match of top decks, unfortunately. But when you have it, you have it. So it's going to start the turn with a Leia, which is nice. I like to see this Leia in a deck. So he's going to swing 4 to base and restore 1, which brings him to 19. And at this point, I told him I got the other Rebel Soul, which again we know represents at least 13 damage. It's even more now because of the Masterpiece buff. So he's like, yeah, you got it. Just blow out with that. But yeah, it was a super fun match. Super nice guy. Got to play with, and yeah, I'm just telling him like, yeah, dude, I top decked this Masterpiece. I feel bad because you had the start that only loses to Masterpiece, and I drew it off the top. So that is going to be a 2-1 victory over Luke4 30 base. If you guys enjoy the video, please feel free to leave us a like, any comments, subscribe to the channel. Greatly helps us out. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next one.
Okay. Grand Army of the Republic. When deployed, galactic warfare you cannot avoid. Go ahead, be a battle droid. Face off against my clone troopers and get destroyed. Space tech, spaceports, TCG, card sports, of course, till my voice goes hoarse. Welcome, wrecking, decking with the strategy, the energy. It's Clone Force 23.